Over 15 months, independent R&B artist thuy's monthly active listeners grew over 300%. She reached fans in 178 countries, had her music saved by 230,000 listeners, and had 210,000 playlist ads. In this video, we'll see how thuy's team used the tools Discovery Mode and Marquee as part of a multi-release rollout campaign to help reach more listeners and grow her audience. Let's meet thuy.
Hi everyone, I'm thuy. I'm a singer-songwriter from the Bay Area. I've been an artist for about 8 to 9 years. I feel like the last year or so, I've been able to kind of see everything come to the forefront of all my hard work and everything.
thuy started releasing music in 2015, but her career popped off when her song Universe went viral in 2021. As an independent artist, thuy has been digging into her Spotify for Artists data from the jump.
I'm a little crazy, but I check my Spotify for Artists dashboard every single day. From the moment I started making music to today, I feel like it keeps me accountable. And it's so cool to see it start off with 5 people listening. And now I'm checking and upwards of 1,000 people, and I'm oh my God, this is crazy.
For thuy, building a team with the right dynamics was key, both in terms of vibe and taking her career to the next level.
When I started working with thuy, she's like, I have a couple songs. I think it's a project. I'm not really sure. And so I listened to it and I was like, this is definitely a project.
thuy consistently released singles in the run-up to the release of her EP, I Hope You See This. These singles showcase different elements of her sound and story. Her team used Spotify for Artists streaming data to understand what was resonating.
When we released Universe in the summer, we immediately knew that that was really a fan favorite, and it was really growing naturally over time. We decided to opt in for Discovery Mode ahead of the album.
Okay, here's a quick explainer. Discovery Mode is an audience development tool where artists and their teams choose songs they'd like prioritized in personalized listening sessions. Discovery Mode can help expand the reach of content and help drive longer-term fan base growth, like saves, user playlist ads, and follows. Okay, back to Isabel.
Once Discovery Mode started, we really began to notice that the save rate, the listenership, the playlist ads was going through the roof.
In the first month of using the tool, thuy's monthly listeners increased by over 200%.
We knew that we really had a very sticky audience with thuy. We had really connected with a new wide range of potential fans on platform. When we figured, okay, when is the best time to use Marquee?
So here's a rundown on Marquee. Marquee is that full-screen recommendation that says new music for you right when you open Spotify. And Marquee is all about one thing, your latest release. After using Discovery Mode to help build thuy's fan base, her team then decided to use Marquee to help capitalize on that momentum for her EP.
We decided to run Marquee for I Hope You See This later on in the campaign, and we were targeting light and moderate listeners, people who were casually engaged with her music on platform. We wanted to wait until the last possible day, the window of creating the Marquee, to make sure that we were hitting all of these new followers and people engaged with the music on platform, and then hit them again with a reminder that the new album is out.
Over 40% of listeners who saw thuy's Marquee saved or added a track from the album to their own playlist. Plus, people who saw thuy's Marquee were 3 times more likely to stream the new release than similar listeners who did not see her Marquee.
Once the album was released, we really saw a huge boost in listeners, streams, and followers.
thuy's team turned on Discovery Mode for 11 tracks over 15 months. As a result, listeners saved tracks by thuy 230,000 times and added her music to their playlists 210,000 times. thuy also saw a 250% uplift in listeners in radio and autoplay. During this period, thuy herself continued to engage with her fans on Spotify by regularly curating her artist playlists and leaning into Canvas to drive social engagement. Meanwhile, thuy's team kept a close eye on the Discovery Mode campaign reports, adjusting their promotional strategy according to the data. They took songs out that weren't resonating and tested new ones to ensure they always had the right tracks in rotation.
What we also liked was that you could see sometimes when songs were underperforming and it just wasn't effective, and so it didn't make sense, and we could look at what other tools across Spotify that we could continue using to help thuy grow in her projects and in other markets.
One of those other Spotify for Artists tools they're considering is Showcase, a new campaign tool we're testing which we'll be making available to more artists in the near future. Showcase is a mobile banner at the top of Spotify's home that gives artists the ability to spotlight the releases they want, when they want, targeting the listeners they want to reach. Unlike Marquee, which specializes in the promotion of new music, artists can use Showcase to bring attention to releases from across their catalog, whether it's a new release, an old classic, or anything in between.
We've utilized Marquee before, and I feel like this is like the good next step to see like how we can revisit the listeners and then just have it like a subtle thing where we're like, okay, the deluxe is out.
Also, you've been in front of so many people in real life since then. You've been on tour with Ella, you've done your own headline tour, so I think it makes sense as like a way for all those people who might have just been introduced to you. They'll open Spotify and they'll see, you know, oh my God, look, there's a new deluxe album from Thuy. I saw her with Ella, she was amazing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm excited. I've definitely used a lot of the features on Spotify, and, you know, again, whatever works for this one might not work for this one, or you might have to switch gears a little bit. But I think just being able to even have those tools as an independent artist and to be able to like execute whenever you want is super empowering.
And there you have it. For more information on all the tools mentioned here, head to artist.spotify.com.